Discipline only takes 30 days of doing the right habit, and boom, it's a part of your life. It feels natural, feels normal, and you're good. So, how did I do it? Well, within only 30 days after starting school, I was getting straight A grades. I was becoming a kickboxer. I was going to the gym consistently. I learned my third and fourth languages, and I was becoming insanely religious, studying and learning about faith and the consequences it has on my life and the lives of others. If you're interested in anything about that, or just becoming more disciplined or more regimented in your day-to-day life, then I highly recommend watching this video in its entirety. And if you want me, yes, me, to keep you more accountable, then go ahead and purchase my call system. I have an hourly long call that we can book whenever you want, however you want, and we can talk about literally anything, whether it's becoming more religious or whether it's learning a bit more about yourself or what you're interested in and how you want to build this business or build this career or just go to the gym or just have a bit better mental health. I will be your accountability bro. I will help you out, whatever it is that you need help in. Nonetheless, here's how I did it. Well, to first establish how I became more disciplined, we need to establish why I couldn't, right? After all, I had all of summer break to become more disciplined, and yet I didn't. Well, first of all, along my personal journey, I was struggling and I was managing a lot. I had someone come into my life and I was dedicating myself to them, and that person ended up kind of taking everything away from me. So, not to their fault, but to my own neglection of, well, the reality of the situation, I was presented with pretty harsh circumstances, which obviously made it a bit easier to become more disciplined upon the events happening. Meaning, I came to school, I lost all my friends, all my family, and of course, the relationship all at the same time, and obviously that's a perfect scenario to become more disciplined. Nonetheless, you don't need this loss. You don't need to lose everything at once to become more disciplined. The truth is, what's preventing us becoming more disciplined isn't loss, it's actually having too much, right? First of all, it's being too comfortable. That's having everything around us that makes it easy to not become disciplined. So look at your environment. And of course, if your environment is the problem, then what are you doing? Are you doing everything at the same time? What prevented me from becoming more disciplined is I was overwhelmed. I was trying to have a really good relationship and focusing my power on that. I was trying to work this job and do good at this job. I was trying to be a better man in my family. I was worried about focusing on these exams, or I was wanting to go into the gym. I wanted too much, right? I wanted to start YouTube channels, and I wanted to do films, and I wanted to do all this nonsense at the same time. So the truth is, you can try everything at the same time, and you'll spend years and years of your life never accomplishing a single one of them. Believe me, I've spent years of my life working on single projects, but because I was so focused on a variety of things, I've yet to even complete them. So if you want to complete things, you need to narrow down what your habits are and what discipline actually looks like. So maybe discipline is just going to the gym. Just going to the gym, that's it. And then upon going to the gym for a set period of time, now you can start the next thing, and then the next thing. It's all about building a system where life becomes natural. Why make building discipline and building good habits hard when you can make it easy and just do it one at a time? Additionally, my life was full of bad habits, but until you really narrow down what your good habits are and what you really desire to be in this hierarchy of priority, then it becomes a lot easier to actually get rid of these bad habits. Nonetheless, a bad habit itself is actually over prioritizing your life with too much of a variety of things to the point where you can't focus on anything. So here's really the one rule I focused on within 30 days: scheduling. That was building a Google Calendar and putting on all the goals that I wanted and just starting immediately, right? You can lie to yourself, you can go against yourself, but when you have a regimented routine based off of like an online calendar, it becomes really easy to just do it, right? Okay, today I'm doing this thing, right? Tomorrow I have a homework assignment. Tomorrow I'm doing that study. Tomorrow I'm starting that YouTube channel that I want to post every day. So it becomes a lot easier when you have a bit of accountability. And I know for a fact I'm going to tell you right here, right now, make that Google Calendar, and you won't. After all, you're watching self-improvement videos because you're unable to actually do these things because you lack the accountability. So if you want me to help you keep you more accountable, then, indulge yourself in some of those calls, and I will do everything in my power to keep you more accountable and even set up a lot of those Google Calendars for you and share exactly what mine look like. Nonetheless, though, it's not about doing all the things at the same time. It's about doing a little bit, right? Do less, but focus more. So instead of focusing on 10 habits or a perfect morning routine or a 4-hour self-improvement moment, it was just, how can I get to classes? Let's focus on getting classes. Now I'm in class. Okay, where's the gym? Let's get to going to the gym. Now I'm going to the gym and I got classes. Okay, now let's start learning German on Duolingo. Okay, so now I'm learning German and I got classes and I got the gym. Okay, that's great. Now let's look for kickboxing and then this and this. So by the end of the 30-day period, I might have not mastered all of these, but in the sense that I'm actually doing all these things, I've won. right? Compared to the guy who tried all these things at the same time and had no scheduling, he didn't do anything and he just fell apart, right? He didn't try to actually complete anything. He was just trying to start everything at the same time. And as a result, he completed nothing. On my hand, I started everything, but over a prolonged period of time. So even though I might have only been learning German for 10 days and going to the gym for 20, the fact of the matter is, both of them became regimented and normalized aspects of my life. A day doesn't go by where I don't go to the gym or where I'm not focusing on this part of my life. So, yes, it is easier to start habits if you want to do those push-ups or if you want to start studying a little bit. But if you don't start and if you don't focus your effort into doing things one thing at a time, then you're ultimately not going to succeed. So think about it this way. If you want a bit more regimentation or a bit more scheduling, you need one physical habit. So what are you going to do that actually helps you achieve your goals physically? You need one mental habit. So what are you changing mentally? For me, that was reflection. For me, that was journaling on a YouTube channel that helps people. And what's like an environmental habit? For me, that was putting sticky notes of all my goals, right? The lady I really liked or this and that, right? So how are you going to make your environment easier? And then do that every day. And even if that's like building a calendar, like I had suggested earlier, just scheduling what you want to do or using your notes app. Obviously, having a calendar is the best thing you can do, and it's surprisingly simple, but just force yourself to do one thing at a time. So that way it becomes normalized, right? I'm going to the gym over winter break when no one else wants to. That's not because I have this, insane spirit that I'm just working really hard, but it's because it feels normal and it would be really weird not to go to the gym. After all, if you've gone to the gym every morning for 10 years straight, are you going to go tomorrow morning? Probably. So here's 3 simple habits that you can work on right now that will bring you just a little bit closer, right? You don't need that big loss like I talked about. You just need to start. So if you think you're really far behind, here's a couple things you can do. First of all, just move, right? Just move, whether it's walking, whether it's push-ups, right? Looking for a gym membership, moving yourself to the computer and searching things online. You need to move yourself. You need to implant yourself into a specific direction and stick with it. So don't, concern yourself with doing too much at the same time, especially. The biggest problem I ran into was I had 4 big film projects I wanted to work on because I do film. I like doing film design and all sorts of stuff that you wouldn't otherwise know about if you knew me a couple of years ago, but I really like film. But I had wasted years and years and years focusing on 4 big projects when I could have just completed one and then moved to the other within that time period. And now I'm still scripting out this thing that has spent me like 3 years of my life working towards. So anyways, the point is just move yourself in a certain direction and stick to it. Even if the direction is like a little bit uphill, right? It was certainly an uphill battle to start this YouTube channel and all the things of my life that I'm now enjoying and I ultimately take for granted. But if you really want to focus your life towards something, it's got to be a little bit difficult. After all, if you really want it, it can't really be insanely easy. Additionally, you need a couple minutes of stillness. You need moments to just appreciate. So whether that's breathing or silence or journaling, just focusing on your thoughts. Especially with our phones nowadays, it becomes impossible to reflect because every time you're not doing nothing, you're actually doing something which is engaging with technology. So you need moments to just sit and reflect, whether that's pacing up and down the room or just thinking about something. You need moments to reflect. Oh, there's a hair falling down. You just need moments to ground yourself. You need moments to reflect and learn without distractions, without noise. That's where emotional control begins. And finally, you need to clean your environment. People neglect how oftentimes their environment controls who they are. If you come home to a bed that's made versus a bed that's completely in shambles, then how will that dictate how often you stay up late at night? Think about it. If your phone's beside your bed, how often are you going to be on it? Right? If you bring your phone to the bathroom, how often are you going to lust? For me, changing my environment involved putting sticky notes all over my wall, all over my desk that showed me what I wanted to focus on, what bad habits I wanted to eliminate, what goals I wanted to achieve, what good habits I wanted to actually focus on, and who I was doing it for. So maybe that's cleaning your desk, maybe it's your nightstand, maybe your floor section, maybe like just a dresser top. The point is, with a more clean or like an environment that's a bit more fulfilled within cleanliness, right? I don't mean it to word it like too properly, but just having a cleaner environment not only makes it easier to work, but if you just think about it, you're not gonna have to worry about cleaning it if you've already done it. And cleaning is the best example of just doing, because once you start, naturally you're just gonna want to finish the process. And that's how it should be with every habit. You're gonna force yourself to start, and then you're gonna be so into it that you're not gonna want to stop. Like the gym, once you're at the gym, once you're lifting weights, you're not going to leave until you're done. So it's the exact same thing with cleaning, studying, and reading. You want to complete your goals. And of course, make your goals easy. Going to the gym is a big deal. So don't, overindulge yourself with this huge gym plan. Just go and figure it out. Go and try it out. Who cares? Go with a buddy if that even helps. right? Don't let people weigh you down, though. You gotta go. You gotta complete things all the darn time. So if your buddy says, I don't want to go to the gym today, screw him. You're going to the gym. And make things easy, of course. So that could mean setting up a calendar. That could mean being gentle on yourself if you miss a day. That could mean, focusing a little bit more on this certain thing and less on other things. That can mean setting up an environment that makes things easier. The whole point is making good habits easier and bad habits harder, right? After all, earlier I said when you have too many good habits you're attempting, it becomes super hard to focus on them. So if you really want to achieve these things, whatever the things are that you have in your mind, you need to make it easy. So insanely easy that you can't fail. Making $1 million is easy, but being the man to start doing it is the hardest part. So just do it. So here's the hardest part though, right? Starting. So it's that you're too tired to do it, so you'll do it tomorrow. Let me tell you, you will never do the things you tell yourself that you will do tomorrow. Looking at my calendar, when I set things off, I say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'm too tired. It gets pushed back for months, right? So I need to make sure I do things immediately. So there's no do it tomorrow, there's no you're too tired, there's no this is pointless, right? I'm going to the gym over the winter break. The gym I'm going to doesn't even have the weights and the equipment necessary for me to actually build my muscle, but I'm maintaining it. So even though it seems pointless, by the time I'm back to school, I wouldn't have actually lost any progress. So ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, I've gained momentum. So it's all about continuing things. So if you're too tired, go and try to do something. Go and do even for a little bit. You don't want to go to the gym? Go for 10 minutes, man. You don't want to journal? Write one sentence. You don't want to read? Read one word within the book that you're too afraid to pick up. Make things so easy that it's impossible to fail and impossible to not do it. Because even if you even if you were just reading one letter of one book, right, that you're somewhat interested in, that's infinitely better than not reading it at all. And then you know what? Because you've picked it up and because you have it with you, you might read a whole page. You might read the whole thing within 100 days. Who knows? But you would have never achieved such a thing if you didn't make it so insanely easy. That involves studying too. If you're concerned with school, just open up a Word document or get a page down and just write one thing. Because by the time you write one thing or you look at 5 minutes of like a self-improvement video, you'll want to watch the whole thing and you'll want to study the whole document. So don't make it hard. And that's where we find the identity shift. Remember earlier I talked about how things become natural? Well, when you do these things for a prolonged period of time, they become habitual. When you don't lust, it becomes habitual to not lust. When you go to the gym, it becomes habitual to go to the gym. So I stopped trying to be disciplined and I started focusing on who I wanted to be. I want to be the man who does this, the man who goes to the gym, the man who does this. Michael Phelps is a professional swimmer. He swims in the Olympics for America. But, his identity is based on a man who just goes to swim, right? He's a professional swimmer. He swims. If you're a bodybuilder, you go to the gym. If you're healthy, you eat healthy. So reflect yourself based off of who you want to be, right? Be less of I should do this and be more of this is the man that I am. This is who I'm going to be. This is who I am right now even, so to say. So focus yourself not only just on the small, minute details and just honing in on those little habits that generally spitball or they'll spiral down into this giant conglomerate of a new identity, but focus on specifically who that identity is. Who do you want to be? And even if who you want to be isn't very specific, hopefully it's just generally, I want to be me right now, but better. I want to be me right now, but completing my goals. And when you have that mentality, it becomes way easier to focus in on those little habits, right? For me, it was by day 0, I have to learn what my classes are. By day 5, I have to start going to the gym. By day 10, I want to start learning languages. By day 15, and then so on and so on and so on. Point is, though, you don't have to directly follow what I'm doing. Maybe your day 5 is my day 10, or maybe your day 10 is my day 1, or whatever it is. So if you just think about it for a moment, the point is you have to set goals and you have to convince yourself that you are the man who can actually achieve these goals. And within the realm of actually believing that you can do it, you're likely to do it ever more. All in all, though, if you really want to be more disciplined, you need to focus on some physical, mental, and environmental habits that just make things easier. Maybe that's setting up a calendar. Maybe that's walking out to the gym. Maybe that's just reflecting a little bit more. And you have to do these things consistently within a period of time so they become habitual and they become easy. Remember, that's the point. Make it easy. Why would you want to make all these habits harder on yourself? The best thing I learned was to make things easy. And that doesn't mean starting them at the same time and focusing on them evenly. That means honing in on one specific attribute, whether it's going to the gym, learning language, reading a book, indulging in faith a bit more, just being a nicer individual, working a little bit harder within a specific subject that you're struggling with in school, whatever it is. You need to focus on what is easy and focus entirely on one thing, even if it means neglecting the other things you want to work on, even if it means abandoning potentially bad habits because you want to focus on this thing. You need to make it easy and focus in more than ever. And within a couple days, that thing you're focusing on will become easier than not doing it in the first place. So, like, that's like saying if you're so afraid of going to the gym and then you just go, and after 10 days of going to the gym, it becomes normal. You have a routine. Well, now you're not afraid of whether you're going to go or not. So now you can focus on the next thing. So maybe that is becoming a kickboxer. So after going to the gym, now you're going to the gym and you're kickboxing, and you're just adding on and on and on, and you're spiraling. You're like this snowball rolling down the mountain, and you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You're compounding. That's the compound effect. You're just going to be working harder and harder and harder and harder, adding up a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and then all of a sudden, boom, success is going to hit you harder than a truck on the freeway. And that's not like some sort of expression. That's the real deal. When you are compounding, success is going to hit you fast and hard. But you'll be ready for it because you would have been indulging and slowly building up these habits methodically and properly the right way. And why is it the right way? Because certainly every other way you've tried before hasn't worked, and that's why you and I are here and why we're discussing these habits. Nevertheless, again, if you want me to help keep you accountable, I really recommend indulging yourself within the calls that I have and just looking about how I can actually help you, because I really do want to keep you accountable. At the end of the day, it's all about trying to keep you accountable. Nevertheless, if you're not interested in that, then feel free to watch some other YouTube videos or even share this video if you've learned anything. I'm just some young guy at the end of the day, and I'm trying to use what I've learned, which is real, by the way. I actually did all this stuff. I know people like to think, oh, you're some kid on the internet. You don't know what you're talking about. I did live through all these things. I did lose all the things I've lost, and I am gaining all the things I'm gaining. And I want to use what I'm learning to actually teach you and better your life. Because if I learned this a couple of years ago, holy smokes, my life would be looking a lot more different. My name is Nolte Painter. I love you, but God loves you more, and I will see you tomorrow.